أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. So, as I said, today would be the anniversary of the martyrdom of Imam al-Jawad عليه السلام. And we don't have time to go through a full study, and we would need many lectures for that in any case. But at least in a few minutes, and I know because some of you have expressed a few times interest in studying the lives of Ahl al-Bayt alayhum al-Salam, and I find that specifically in the life of Imam al-Jawad alayhi salam, there are some key complex nuances and points that, if understood, they really help us understand the lives of the Imams and Imamah in general. So I thought at least we'd try to highlight a few things while also trying to provide a very quick overview of the life of Imam al-Jawad alayhi salam. So I just felt bad not saying anything as we're going through this event. Imam al-Jawad alayhi salam was born in year 195 after Hijrah. His father was the 8th Imam, Imam al-Rida alayhi salam, Ali ibn Musa al-Rida. So Imam al-Jawad alayhi salam would be the 9th of our Imams. We have many narrations, especially from Imam al-Rida alayhi salam, that talk about Imam al-Jawad. One of them, he says, when the Imam was born, and it's a very interesting hadith, he says, قُدِّسَتْ أُمٌّ وَلَدَتْ. Imam al-Rida alayhi salam is talking about the mother of Imam al-Jawad, his wife. He says, قُدِّسَتْ أُمٌّ وَلَدَتْ طاهرة مطهرة. Sanctified, sacred, holy be the mother who gave birth to him. She is pure and she is purified. So already we know, without knowing more, that this is an amazing woman. That the Imam alayhi salam describes her as being someone who has qudsiyya, has holiness, has sacredness, and she has her own level of purity, and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made her additionally pure. She is tahira, she has tahara of herself, and she is mutahhara, she has been made pure. So there is a part of this that we would say the Imams, we believe the Imams, all of their mothers, they would not be contained by a woman who lacks belief, who lacks faith. None of the mothers of the Imams would lack that. But beyond this, why would the Imam alayhi salam describe this woman in this way? What is the need? So at one level, we could certainly say the Imam is trying to show her rank, and that's very important. We would not know this if the Imam does not explain it to us. But there is more. SubhanAllah, if you go in other narrations and if you go through the history, you'll learn that this mother, who was referred to as Sabika, Sabika was her name, Sabika Nubiya, which is a region to the south of Sudan and Egypt. From that region. And we're told in the histories that Imam al-Rida alayhi salam would nickname her, he would call her Khayzuran. But her name is Sabika. This woman was of the lineage of Maria al-Qibtiyya. Maria al-Qibtiyya was the wife of the Holy Prophet and the mother of his son Ibrahim, who died at a very young age. And the Holy Prophet honored her very much and praised her very much. One of the things that happened to Maria al-Qibtiyya in her life is that she was accused while being the wife of the Holy Prophet. She was bothered and she was harassed for all sorts of reasons. And one of the things that happened to her is that she was accused of adultery. Indirectly, but she was accused of adultery in her life. And so, of course, she was too pure and too clean of a person to ever think of anything like that, a sin like that, but this is something that happened. When we come to the life of Imam al-Rida alayhi salam, we see something very similar happening, And we find out that, as we said, she is from the lineage of the same woman, from that same area, from that same family. But this is happening, 200 years later. So, Imam al-Rida alayhi salam, in his time, and inshallah we'll explain that, in his time there was a whole discussion about his own imamah, because he did not have any children. Up to in the 40s, when the Imam hit the 40s of his life, the rumors started to spread, especially by his enemies, by al-Waqifah, by some of his brothers who were working with al-Waqifah. This is a group that emerged during the time of his father, Imam al-Kadhim, alayhi salam. There are people who started saying Imam al-Kadhim is the last Imam. He is al-Mahdi that the Holy Prophet has promised. He will not die. So when the Imam went to jail, they said he has not gone to jail, he has gone in occultation. They knew that the final Imam would go in a ghaiba. So they said he is in a state of ghaiba and he will reappear in due time. He has not died. And he is the last of the Imams. So years later you have Imam al-Rida alayhi salam, who tells people, I am the Imam. And some of the siblings of the Imam wanted to become the Imam, the sons of Imam al-Kadhim alayhi salam. Out of jealousy for Imam al-Rida, they started fueling these rumors that Imam al-Rida is infertile. He can't have children. Therefore, he can't be in himself an Imam, and he will not be the link to the rest of the chain of Imamah. And so the Imam had promised that he will have a son, decades perhaps before Imam al-Jawad alayhi salam was born. He said, because they would harass him and ask him, who is going to inherit you? Who is going to be the Imam after you? And he would say, he will come and you will have to obey him. But this is many, many years before the birth of Imam al-Jawad alayhi salam. And so even after the birth of Imam al-Jawad, there are those who started creating rumors saying this is not the son of Imam al-Rida alayhi salam, to further push the idea that this is not his son, therefore he cannot have children, and he is not an Imam, and this is not also an Imam. While the majority of the people, when they saw Imam al-Jawad and the miracles that he would perform and his knowledge, they went back to believing in Imam al-Jawad alayhi salam. In any case, there's also a number of ahadith when Imam al-Jawad alayhi salam was born that Imam al-Rida would say. There's one of his companions who came to him and he told him, we have just been informed that you have a son who has been born. And he says, قد ولد شبيه موسى بن عمران وشبيه عيسى بن مريم. Now, the one who is similar to Prophet Musa ibn Imran alayhi salam and Prophet Isa, son of Maryam alayhim salam, has been born. So why would the Imam say that? In what way is Imam al-Jawad alayhi salam similar to them? Very quickly, Musa alayhi salam, when people think about him, the first thing that comes to mind is the amazing miracles, the incredible miracles he performed. And so Imam al-Jawad is similar to Musa alayhi salam because if you go through in his history or his story, you will see that he performed a number of miracles, even at a very young age, because he had to establish his imamah in a very different way, and we'll talk about that in a second. And he is similar to Isa ibn Maryam, and this is something that came back again and again in the sayings of Imam al-Rida alayhi salam later on. Every time he would be asked about his son and how could he be the Imam when he's so young, he would tell them the story of Prophet Isa alayhi salam, which the Holy Quran says, we made him a prophet when he was still in the crib. Right? وَأَتَيْنَاهُ الْحُكْمَ صَبِيًّا. And then both for Yahya and for Isa alayhi salam, and for Isa he spoke as soon as he was born in defense of the honor of his mother, so that everybody knows that he is truly a servant of Allah and he is unique and exceptional, and there is nothing that should be, no attack should be made against the honor of Maryam alayhi salam for giving birth to him. In any case, so it's in the same way when Imam al-Rida alayhi salam emphasizes that Imam al-Jawad resembles Prophet Musa and Prophet Isa, it's in those ways. Prophet Isa became a prophet at a very young age. So it is possible for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to appoint someone, one of his servants, as a prophet, as a messenger, as an imam at a very young age. And this was a shift in the imamah. No imam before then had been an imam at such a young age. Right? So, And the birth of the Imam, when it happened, as we said, becomes a proof, not only in itself a proof for Imam al-Jawad alayhi salam because of the characteristics he carried and he displayed as soon as he became Imam, which explains the role of Imamah, but to prove the Imamah of his own father. And we have a number of narrations that talk about the blessings that the birth of Imam al-Jawad alayhi salam brought into this world, and perhaps the most important being that it solidified and confirmed, especially for the enemies of Imam al-Rida alayhi salam, which probably would have stopped the spread of the truth, of the messages of the Imams at that time, had the Waqifah spread more. But with the birth of Imam al-Jawad alayhi salam, the lineage continues, but the Imamah continues. And therefore this truth can continue and the mission can continue in human history, leading all the way to Imam al-Mahdi ajallahu farajah. Imam al-Jawad alayhi salam spends about 4 to 5 years with Imam al-Rida after the Imam is born. And then Imam al-Rida is forced to accept becoming the heir to the throne by al-Ma'mun. So he's forced to leave the city of Medina where he lived, and he has to go to Ray, Khurasan, present day Iran. Before leaving, Imam al-Rida alayhi salam actually organized a gathering. He commemorated his own death before leaving. We would call it a majlis today, in the city of Medina. He gathered his closest companions and his family members, and he told them, this is the last time that you will see me. I am leaving and I'm not coming back. And then he instructed them and told them, when I am gone, the person you are to respect and obey and follow, and the one who is my successor is my son, al-Jawad. Imam al-Jawad at this time, we said, he's at a very young age, perhaps around 5 years old, 4 to 5 years old. This is about year 200 or 201. 203, Imam al-Rida alayhi salam is poisoned and martyred by the orders of al-Ma'mun. So this is 2 years later, 2 to 3 years later. Imam al-Jawad alayhi salam is what age? About 8 years old. According to most, the highest age that is given to the age of Imam al-Jawad alayhi salam when he becomes Imam is about 9 years old. He could have been 7 or 8 or 9 at that time. So the news has not reached yet, and Imam al-Rida alayhi salam passes away. As we said, he's about 8 or 9 years old. This is when the doubts start to happen. Imam al-Rida already instructed, I'm not going to go into all the details, Imam al-Jawad alayhi salam came to perform the rituals of death on the body, the blessed body of Imam al-Rida alayhi salam, and he went back to his family and he told them that Imam al-Rida alayhi salam has just passed. The news had not reached yet anywhere else. And then with time, as the news started reaching, we said Imam al-Rida had already started saying, this is my successor. But people did not think that he would pass away so quickly and his son would be so young. So already there were dispatches sent from the city of Kufa and elsewhere. Those who are followers of Ahlul Bayt did not know what to do. So they said, this is a child. Can we really follow a child? We're not sure. And so they dispatched a group of scholars and heads of prominent people, heads of tribes, heads of families with scholars, and they went from Kufa and elsewhere to come and test the Imam. And you can go through the hadith to see how basically they said, we're going to go discuss with the Imam out of respect in case he is truly an Imam. But when you go through the questions that he was asked, he was being put to the test. And so the Imam spent days answering their questions, and they all left unanimously convinced that this is truly an Imam. He is no different than any other Imams of the Imams that they were following. And then right after that, the season of pilgrimage happened, al-Hajj. Imam al-Jawad alayhi salam went to a house that belonged to his great-grandfather, Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, that was empty, to meet with 80 scholars and people who had come from all over because they heard that Imam al-Rida has left this world and he has left as a successor and Imam after him, this young boy of about 8 years old. The Imam came to this empty house of Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, and 80 people came, and for days and nights they asked questions. And the Imam answered. And this solidified, in case anyone was honest and sincere in their search for the truth, solidified in everyone's mind that this is not knowledge that anyone could have had time to learn from anyone. This is divinely inspired. This person is actually an imam. And so the news started spreading. Al-Ma'mun, after killing Imam al-Rida alayhi salam, he moved from Ray, he went to the other capital, because during his time there were two capitals in the world, Baghdad and Khurasan. So he moved from Khurasan and he went to Baghdad, and he summoned Imam al-Jawad alayhi salam. I'm skipping over a lot of the details, we don't have time. He summoned Imam al-Jawad alayhi salam, and he was truly in awe and amazed at what he was seeing from Imam al-Jawad. So he decides to contract a marriage between his daughter al-Fadl and Imam al-Jawad alayhi salam. The Imam is very young here, 8, 9, let's say 10 years old. But the Imam does not go back with his wife to Medina. He leaves alone, because this is just a contract. So there's just an agreement that they are now officially going to marry, but they don't actually get married at that time. The Imam goes back. He comes back, he is summoned again by al-Ma'mun about 13 years later. The Imam at that time is older. al-Fadl is older. He comes back, and this time he is forced. The Imam tried to get out of it in different ways. He has no choice. So he goes back and he accepts the marriage with al-Fadl, the daughter of the Khalifa. This caused a huge problem for him, but he didn't care. Al-Ma'mun, at that time, Bani al-Abbas were very reluctant. They came to him and they told him, we did a census. They controlled the land. They went and they counted and they told him, us, Bani al-Abbas, our tribe, we are a population of 33,000. And you could not find anyone else but our worst enemy to give your daughter to. Is there no one else that can marry her and to keep the kingdom within our family? But he rejected that, he did not care, and he gave them as an excuse that he wanted to become the grandfather of an imam. Okay? And of course there's a political ramification to this. Al-Ma'mun was trying to bring the Shia much closer to be used politically. He wanted to show that he was much closer to the Shia, and so he's bringing the imam. And of course al-Fadl is going to work as a spy in the house of the imam, and so on and so forth. But the official answer is that he wanted to become the grandfather of an imam. So as soon as al-Fadl would have a child, the father would be Imam al-Jawad, and since they claim to be imams, I am now the grandfather of an imam. In any case, the imam is forced to accept the marriage 13 years later, so this is year 215. The marriage initially was done 13 years later. The imam was about 20 years old at that time. He goes back to the city of Medina. al-Fadl is not happy because she sees that the imam has married another woman and he has a child from her, and he does not have a child from al-Fadl. She writes to al-Ma'mun, her father, and she tells him, the imam, he does not like me, he does not want me, he doesn't want to be with me. The father completely ignores that, and now we have a son to Imam al-Jawad alayhi salam, who is Imam al-Hadi alayhi salam. And in any case, he ignores her complaints, as we said. In year 218, so now the imam is about 22, 23 years of age. In year 218, al-Ma'mun dies. Harun al-Abbasi, he left al-Amin and al-Ma'mun to fight each other over his khilafah. Al-Ma'mun killed al-Amin, and then when he died, al-Mu'tasim, the other brother of al-Ma'mun, became the Khalifa. And he was ruthless. As much as al-Ma'mun wanted to show leniency and to bring the Shia closer to him, al-Mu'tasim was much more rude and harsh and ruthless with Imam al-Jawad alayhi salam. So, in short, he summoned the Imam once again in year 220. So he brought him back to Baghdad. Every time the Imam could get away from Baghdad, he would, and he would be brought back, as you're seeing. So in year 220, al-Mu'tasim brings back Imam al-Jawad alayhi salam back to Baghdad. This time when he leaves, he only leaves with al-Fadl. He leaves his son Imam al-Hadi alayhi salam with his mother Sumana. He leaves them in the city of Medina and he goes to Baghdad. And here we are told that he lived probably around 10 months at most in the city of Baghdad before he was poisoned. So the poisoning of the Imam is also not entirely a matter of consensus. Some say that al-Mu'tasim used the wife of the Imam, al-Fadl, exactly for this purpose. And others say it was not her, because he sent his commander, one of his commanders, his military commanders, by the name of Ashnas. He sent him to the Imam, and this is very explicitly written in the books of history. He comes to the Imam bearing many precious gifts, but at the same time they made a citron juice. Citron is like lemon, utruj. They made a juice that they brought to the Imam and they told him to drink it. This is a gift and it must be drank. And the Imam told them, I will drink it later. Give me time and I may drink it later. They told him, no, it has to be drank now because we took time to make ice and this needs to be drank cold. So the Imam drank it and it was, of course, poisoned. And so the Imam passes away at the age of 25 years old. So Imam al-Hadi alayhi salam, at that time, he is about 8 years old. Because, and this is where you see that he played a significant role. It's a new chapter in the chain of imamah that happens for these imams. First of all, you notice that the last imams, Imam al-Jawad, Imam al-Hadi, Imam al-Askari, they all die at a very young age. 25, 41, 28 years old each. Why? This alone needs to be discussed. This needs to be studied. All the other imams also had very difficult circumstances. But here you see the difficulty increase a lot. They were not given any room to maneuver, any room to live freely. And so all of them, you see that the khulafa of their time, they were ruthless to get rid of them as soon as they could. And that's exactly what happened with all of them. The second thing is, by his own imamah, he established the imamah of his father, as we saw, right? He also established the imamah of his son, because now Imam al-Hadi alayhi salam is going through the same thing. He is also an imam at the very young age of 7 or 8 years old. But he doesn't need to go through the exact same thing, because now it's been established that an imam may be much younger. And so that's why many of our scholars say this is one of the many interpretations where Imam al-Rida alayhi salam, when he talks about Imam al-Jawad, his son, when he was born, he says that there is no one who has ever been born who will be more blessed for Islam than him. He will bring the greatest blessing to Islam. No one will bring more. Why? Because it meant either people continue to believe in the chain of imamah or they don't. Either the imamah stops then because people fail to accept this imamah or not. And this is one of the interpretations, and there are other ones as well. And the last one, of course, is that by his own imamah, if people actually believe that this is an imam at this young age, then there is no more doubt than that imamah is a divine rank, that their knowledge is a divine knowledge, that they are appointed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Just like people believe in Jesus alayhi salam, just like people believe that Yahya alayhi salam became a prophet at a very young age. Well, now you have an imam. And so if this is true, then you don't go back to saying that there might be a political appointment or people may decide or not decide. This is clearly a human being who has not had time to learn from anyone else. And here he is managing the affairs of the thousands upon thousands of followers with a type of knowledge that no one can match. And inshallah, some other time, we'll have to go through some examples of the knowledge of Imam al-Jawad alayhi salam and Imam al-Hadi alayhim salam. When, as we said, the hadith of Imam al-Rida, he says, لَمْ يُولَدْ أَعْظَمُ بَرَكَةً مِنْهُ فِي الإسلام. Okay, so there has never been born someone who is more blessed or brings more blessing in Islam than him. Okay, and so this is how we see the different types of blessings from the life of Imam al-Jawad alayhi salam. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help us appreciate the different difficulties and sacrifices that our imams had to go through so that the truth and the knowledge reaches us one way or another. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين.